Legally, the Simpson case changed how prosecutors handle high-profile venue decisions and jury selection to this day. Courts now weigh change of venue motions more carefully, specifically because of what happened here. That's the lasting fingerprint of this case, beyond the verdict itself.
The trial of the century, O.J. Simpson. June 17, 1994. 95 million Americans stop what they're doing to watch a white Ford Bronco crawl down a Los Angeles freeway at 35 miles per hour. Inside, NFL legend O.J. Simpson, a gun to his own head, and a nation about to be glued to its television for the next 16 months. Days earlier, on June 12th, Nicole Brown Simpson, O.J.'s ex-wife, and her friend Ron Goldman were found brutally murdered outside her Brentwood condo. O.J. Simpson wasn't just a football hero. He was a Hall of Fame running back, a movie star, a beloved pitchman for Hertz rental cars. Now he was the prime suspect. When police told him to turn himself in, he vanished, sparking that infamous Bronco chase, watched live, interrupting NBA Finals coverage. Here's something a lot of people don't know. The crime happened in Santa Monica, which should have meant a Santa Monica jury. Instead, the district attorney chose to file the case in downtown Los Angeles. That decision came just 2 years after the Rodney King verdict sparked massive riots across the city. And many legal analysts believe it was made, at least in part, to avoid seating another jury seen as unrepresentative of LA's black community. The result? A jury pool that looked very different from Santa Monica's, and one many believe was more skeptical of the LAPD from the very start. Whether that was a strategic miscalculation or simply an unavoidable outcome is still debated by legal experts today. What followed was the most watched trial in American history. Cameras were allowed in the courtroom for the first time on this scale, and the country became obsessed. Prosecutors Marcia Clark and Christopher Darden built their case on DNA evidence and a bloody glove found at the scene. But the defense, a dream team led by Johnny Cochran, Robert Shapiro, and F. Lee Bailey, argued the LAPD was incompetent, evidence was mishandled, and Detective Mark Furman was a racist who may have planted evidence. The turning point came when prosecutors asked Simpson to try on the glove. Live, in court. It didn't fit. Cochran's closing line became legendary. If it doesn't fit, you must acquit. One theory that still circulates decades later involves O.J.'s son, Jason Simpson. A private investigator named William Deere spent years pushing the idea that Jason, not O.J., committed the murders, pointing to things like a temper, a knife similar to the murder weapon, and an alibi he says doesn't fully hold up. It's important to say clearly, Jason Simpson was never charged. No physical evidence has ever linked him to the crime scene, and law enforcement has never treated him as a suspect. This remains a fringe theory pushed mainly by one investigator's book, not an established fact. On October 3, 1995, after less than 4 hours of deliberation, the jury returned a verdict, not guilty on both counts. An estimated 100 million people stopped to watch. The reaction split almost perfectly along racial lines. For many Black Americans, still just 3 years removed from the Rodney King verdict in the LA riots, this felt like a rare moment where the justice system didn't side against a Black man. For many white Americans, it looked like a guilty man walking free because of fame and money. Here's the thing about the O.J. Simpson trial. It was never really just about O.J. Simpson. It was about a justice system a lot of people had already stopped trusting. It was about cameras turning a courtroom into a television show. It was about a country looking at the exact same evidence and walking away with two completely different truths. 30 years later, we're still having that same argument. We just do it on Twitter now instead of around the water cooler.
Here's a fact most true crime channels skip. The murders happened in Santa Monica. By law, that should have meant a Santa Monica jury. Instead, prosecutors filed downtown. A jury pool decision made 2 years after the Rodney King riots. That single choice may have decided the verdict before the trial even started.